Name the 5 U.S. states that border the Gulf of Mexico. The 5 states are Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, and Florida. You can easily see this is true by looking at a map of the southeastern United States. Who was the 3rd astronaut to walk on the moon? The answer, Pete Conrad. Conrad was commander of the Apollo 12 spaceflight. He walked on the moon November 14, 1969, about 4 months after Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin did on Apollo 11. What does a Scoville unit measure? The answer, spiciness of chili peppers. The hottest pepper on this scale is the Carolina Reaper, which is measured at 2,200,000 SHU, Scoville heat units. What is the breed of horse bred originally by the Nez Perce Indians? The answer is the Appaloosa. This breed is known for its colorful spotted coat pattern. It is the state horse of Idaho. In the movie 2001: A Space Odyssey, what is the name of the artificial intelligent AI computer? The answer, HAL. This Stanley Kubrick film was based on the short story The Sentinel by Arthur Clarke. Who was the French doctor and astrologer who claimed in the 16th century to foresee events for the next 500 years? His name was Nostradamus. Many academics argue that Nostradamus's predictions are quite vague and could be interpreted to mean almost anything. What is the scientific name for the bone more commonly known as the shin bone? The name of this bone is the tibia, which is shown here. What is the world's longest chain of mountains above sea level? The longest chain of mountains is the Andes. The Andes run along virtually the entire western coast of the South American continent. Name one of the 3 most common elements in the Earth's crust. The 3 most common elements include oxygen, silicon, and aluminum. Together, these 3 elements make up 82% of the Earth's crust. What slipper-shaped protozoan uses its cilia both to eat and to swim through water? The answer, paramecium. You may have observed paramecium under a microscope in school. What is the chemical symbol for the element mercury? The symbol is Hg. Mercury is the element found in traditional thermometers. How many personal fouls does a player have to commit to be ejected from an NBA basketball game? The answer, 6 fouls. In college basketball, only 5 personal fouls are needed for a player to be ejected. What French explorer and inventor developed the aqualung and in 1951 began exploring the oceans with his research ship, the Calypso? The answer, Jacques Cousteau. From 1966 to 1976, he hosted the Undersea World of Jacques Cousteau, a popular documentary television show. What is the longest and largest artery? The name of this artery is aorta. The aorta distributes oxygenated blood to all parts of the body. Give the 3 letters of the alphabet conveyed by 3 dots, 3 dashes, and 3 dots in Morse code. The 3 letters are SOS. SOS, the distress signal, doesn't stand for anything. It uses those letters only because they are quick and easy to type in Morse code. The American colonists demanded no taxation without what? The answer, representation. A mixed voice choir contains men and women arranged SATB. Name the 4 voice ranges for which these initials stand. SATB stands for soprano, alto, tenor, bass. Which layer of the atmosphere is most dense? The answer, the troposphere. The troposphere is the layer of the atmosphere closest to Earth. What city features Gasworks Park and neighborhoods including Green Lake and Rainier Beach? The city, Seattle. A clue to this answer could be found in the name of Rainier Beach. Mount Rainier is viewable from Seattle. It is only 60 miles from the city. What Victor Hugo novel was adapted into a Disney animated movie in 1996? The answer, The Hunchback of Notre Dame. This French Gothic novel focuses on the story of Quasimodo, the bell ringer at Notre Dame Cathedral. What painting style relies upon the use of either wet or dry plaster? The answer, fresco. Perhaps the most famous example is the Sistine Chapel ceiling by Michelangelo. Pictured is the creation of Adam, part of the Sistine Chapel ceiling. In It's a Wonderful Life, what is the name of George Bailey's guardian angel? The angel's name, Clarence. By showing George a timeline in which he never existed, Clarence proves to George that he does in fact have a wonderful life. What is the term for the uppermost portion of a tree, including the branches and leaves? The answer, the crown. You can think of a tree as having three main parts: root, trunk, and crown, as shown in the diagram. Literally meaning sacred carving, what is the name for the inscriptions found on many tombs that provide the earliest information about Egyptian mythology? The answer, hieroglyphics. Egyptian hieroglyphics have over 1,000 distinct characters. What is the young of a shark called? The answer, a pup. As soon as they are born, shark pups are ready to swim and hunt. Charles Darwin traveled aboard what ship from 1831 to 1836 to study the geology and biology of the Pacific coast of South America? The name of the ship, the HMS Beagle. In 1835, the ship visited the Galapagos Islands, which would prove the starting point from which Darwin would develop his theories on evolution. 7 different people shake hands with each other once. What is the total number of handshakes? There would be a total of 21 handshakes. The first person would shake hands with 6 other people, plus the second person would shake hands with 5 others, and so on. 6 plus 5 plus 4 plus 3 plus 2 plus 1 is 21. What is the device that mixes a drug with water vapor to produce a medicated mist suitable for inhalation? This device is called a nebulizer or atomizer. A nebulizer can be used to deliver medicine for people suffering from asthma, COPD, or another lung disease. What kind of energy is possessed by a system by virtue of its position and is contrasted with the kinetic kind? The answer, potential energy. An idle ball poised to roll down a hill has potential energy. A ball rolling down the hill would have kinetic energy. What is the only country through which both the Tropic of Capricorn and the equator pass? That country is Brazil. You can see that this is true on the map. What Kentucky statesman is known for his American system of economic development? The answer, Henry Clay. Clay lived from 1777 to 1852 and began his career as an attorney. The study of insects is known as what? The answer, entomology. At any time, it is estimated that there are some 10 quintillion, that's a 10 followed by 18 zeros, individual insects alive. How is the date on which Arbor Day is celebrated determined each year? Arbor Day is always the last Friday in April. People are encouraged to plant trees on Arbor Day. Who is credited with the invention of the mercury thermometer? The answer, Daniel Fahrenheit. You may also guess that he is credited with inventing the Fahrenheit scale for measuring temperature. What has an incredibly strong gravitational pull from which even light cannot escape? The answer is a black hole. What word describes a person who believes that whether God exists is not known and probably cannot be known? The answer, agnostic. A theist actively believes in a god or gods, and atheist actively believes there is no God. In A Christmas Carol, how many ghosts visit Scrooge? The answer, 4. Jacob Marley first, followed by the ghosts of Christmas past, present, and future. What is the name for an informal round of voting, the results of which are not officially recorded? This is a definition of straw poll. What Spanish explorer colonized Puerto Rico in 1508 and Florida in 1513 while looking for the Fountain of Youth? The answer, Ponce de Leon. The Fountain of Youth he was searching for is a mythical spring, which would allegedly restore the youth of anyone who drinks or bathes in its waters. Who said life itself is the most wonderful fairy tale? The answer, Hans Christian Andersen. He wrote around 160 fairy tales. What is the name of a medical doctor who specializes in delivering babies? The answer, obstetrician. In the United States, the required schooling after high school to become an obstetrician takes over 10 years. One of the two longest rivers in the United States is the Mississippi River. What is the other? The other is the Missouri River. The Missouri River flows from Montana over 2,300 miles before joining the Mississippi River in Missouri. What group consists of Blossom, Buttercup, and Bubbles? They are known as the Powerpuff Girls. The original Powerpuff Girls television show ran 6 seasons from 1998 to 2005. What cheese is traditionally used on a Reuben sandwich? The answer, Swiss. A typical Reuben sandwich is composed of corned beef, Swiss cheese, sauerkraut, and Thousand Island dressing, grilled between 2 slices of rye bread. What is the name of the scale used by scientists to classify how hard or soft a rock is? The answer, Mohs scale of hardness. The scale was introduced in 1812 by German geologist and mineralogist Friedrich Mohs. The Hashemite kingdom is another name for what Middle Eastern nation that lost the West Bank during the 1967 Arab-Israeli War? The answer, Jordan. Pictured is the flag of Jordan. Edmund Randolph was the first man to serve in what position that is known as the Chief Law Officer of the United States? The answer, Attorney General. Randolph was appointed by George Washington as the United States' first AG in 1789. What is the term used to describe the diffusion of water through a semipermeable membrane? The answer is osmosis. The process, important in biology, was first thoroughly studied in 1877 by a German plant physiologist, Wilhelm Pfeffer. What is the protein produced by certain types of white blood cells in response to an invasion by an organism and then fights that organism? The protein is known as an antibody. What is the longest river in Europe? It is the Volga. The Volga River flows 2,193 miles through central Russia to southern Russia and into the Caspian Sea. In what century was William Shakespeare born? He was born in the 16th century, 1564 to be exact, and Shakespeare lived until 1616. According to Norse mythology, what was the name of the home of the gods? The answer is Asgard. Asgard is a compound word formed with the Old Norse words as, meaning God, and Gardor, meaning enclosure. What term describes a plant-like organism that lacks chlorophyll and feeds off other plants or animals? The answer, fungus. Mushrooms, shown here, are a common type of fungi. The term home run was already previously used in a different sport before becoming a mainstay in baseball vocabulary. What was that sport? That sport was cricket. Cricket is considered the most popular sport in India, Pakistan, and Bangladesh today. What was the predecessor to the United Nations? It was the League of Nations. The League of Nations was founded in 1920 by the Paris Peace Conference that ended the First World War and was dissolved shortly after World War II in 1946. When listed alphabetically, which element is first? The answer, Actinium. Actinium is a radioactive metal. Aluminum is second alphabetically among the elements. What is the name for a seven-sided polygon? The answer, a heptagon. What is the term that refers to 5 babies born together? They are called quintuplets. The odds of conceiving quintuplets naturally are 1 in 60 million. What is the Japanese art of formal flower arranging? This art is known as ikebana. This is counted as one of the 3 classical Japanese arts of refinement, along with kodo for incense appreciation and shado for tea and the tea ceremony. What class of steroids is most commonly abused by athletes, increasing the rate of protein synthesis by affecting androgen receptors? The answer, anabolic steroids. Anabolic steroids are banned for use by professional athletes of most sports. Which gas forms 78% of Earth's atmosphere? The answer, nitrogen. The second most common gas in the atmosphere is oxygen, at about 21%. What U.S. state has the longest shoreline? The answer, Alaska. Alaska's coastline of 6,600 miles is 5 times longer than Florida's, the state with the second longest coastline. In one of the worst American defeats of the Revolutionary War, the British captured an American garrison after a 6-week siege in 1780 in what city? The city was Charleston. The British captured some 5,266 American prisoners as a result. For up to how long do cicadas live underground before emerging above ground for just a few weeks? The answer, 17 years. This long life cycle may have developed as a response to predators, such as the cicada killer wasp and praying mantis. What style of music was popularized in such compositions as Maple Leaf Rag and The Entertainer by Scott Joplin? The style of music was ragtime. Pictured here is Scott Joplin. Ragtime was very popular during the early 1900s. The binary, or base 2 value of 101 is equal to what in our base 10 number system? The binary value of 101 is equal to 5 in base 10. In binary, 2 is 10, 3, 11, 4, 100, and 5 is 101. What city was the site of the assassination of Franz Ferdinand, hosted the 1984 Winter Olympics, and was devastated by civil war at the end of the Cold War? This city is Sarajevo. The city is located in the heart of the Balkans, surrounded by the Alps. In what city is Cheers set? The show is set in Boston. The popular TV series ran from 1982 to 1993. Koalas live in eastern Australia in forests of what kind of trees? The answer, eucalyptus. Sometimes referred to as koala bears, koalas aren't bears, they're marsupials. What is the 9th month of the Islamic calendar during which the Quran is said to have been passed to Muhammad? The answer, Ramadan. Muslims fast during Ramadan, meaning they abstain from all food and drink from dawn to sunset. What author wrote, "All animals are equal, but some animals are more equal than others"? This author was George Orwell in his book Animal Farm. The satirical beast fable was published in 1945. The largest stars in the universe are classified as what type of star? The answer, red giants. Gacrux is considered the nearest red giant to Earth at a distance of roughly 88 light years. What snail-shaped organ in the ear funnels sound to the auditory nerve? The answer, the cochlea. The name cochlea derives from ancient Greek cochleus, meaning spiral snail shell. Pope Gregory IV tried to exterminate what animal from Europe, as he said they were instruments of Satan? He tried to exterminate cats. Thankfully, he was not successful. What is the name given to the belt of volcanic activity roughly surrounding the Pacific Ocean? It is known as the Ring of Fire. The Ring of Fire contains nearly 1,000 volcanoes, which is about 2/3 of the world's total. What green, non-flowering vascular plant is among the oldest living kinds of plants on land? The answer is the fern. Ferns first appear in the fossil record about 360 million years ago. Identify the 4 C's that denote the value of a diamond. They are cut, carat, clarity, and color. A meteorologist just announced that she expects to see a stratus cloud close to the ground on Tuesday. What is she predicting? She is predicting a fog. By definition, fog reduces visibility to less than 1 kilometer. If visibility is more than 1 kilometer, it is referred to as a mist. Who was the English scientist that introduced the term Cell. The answer, Robert Hooke. Hooke lived in the 17th century. The colonial forces would likely not have prevailed in the American Revolution without the armies, money, and supplies of what country? The answer, France. Benjamin Franklin played a role in gaining the French support, traveling to France in December 1776 in order to rally the nation's support, where he was said to be welcomed with great enthusiasm. What is the name of the mythological river of hate across which the dead souls had to be ferried to get to the underworld? The answer, Styx. What was the name of the artifact that led to the deciphering of Egyptian hieroglyphics? The answer is the Rosetta Stone. The stone was rediscovered in July 1799 by the French during the Napoleonic campaign in Egypt. On a dartboard, what number is directly opposite number 1? It is number 19, as you can see on the dartboard on the screen now. What is the term used to identify the condition of inflammation of the joints? The condition is known as arthritis. In the United States, 24% of all adults have arthritis. A tangelo is a cross between which 3 fruits? The 3 fruits are tangerine, grapefruit, and orange. Tangelos are the size of an adult fist and have a tart, tangy taste. Ludwig van Beethoven was born in 1770 in which city? The answer is Berlin. Nearly 200 years after his death, Beethoven remains one of the most admired composers in the history of music. What author's works include Moll Flanders, Journal of the Plague Year, and Robinson Crusoe? The author was Daniel Defoe. In addition to his novels, Defoe also authored controversial political pamphlets, was often in trouble with authorities, and spent time in prison. Hatching is the engraving, etching, or drawing of closely spaced, fine lines to create the effect of a what? It is to create the effect of shadow. Which U.S. president served the shortest term in office? The answer, William Henry Harrison. The 9th President of the United States, Harrison died just 31 days after his inauguration in 1841. What is considered the oldest known mechanical computing aid, used as early as the 6th century BC in China? The answer is the abacus. The exact origin of the abacus is not known. What broad class of rocks can have felsic or mafic composition, can be intrusive or extrusive, and forms by the cooling of magma and lava? The answer is igneous rocks. What is the simplest alkane having the formula CH4? The answer, methane. Methane, the main constituent of natural gas, has also been detected on Mars. What is the name of the medieval hypothetical process of transforming one thing into another, such as cheaper metals, into gold? The answer, alchemy, also known as transmutation. The two men who established Apple Computer and helped launch the personal computer revolution were Steve Jobs and who else? The answer, Steve Wozniak. Shown here on the left with Steve Jobs. He was known by many as Woz, and he is widely recognized as one of the pioneers of modern computing. What vitamin, called retinol, is important for good eyesight, healthy bones and teeth, and for preventing night blindness? The answer is vitamin A. Good sources of vitamin A include kale, spinach, broccoli, carrots, sweet potatoes, pumpkins, and more. What is the name of the highest uninterrupted waterfall in the world? The answer is Angel Falls. Located in Venezuela, it has a height of nearly 1,000 meters. Identify the type of arthropod that transmits bubonic plague, also known as Black Death. The answer, fleas. The bubonic plague hit Europe in 1347, killing 1/3 of the continent's human population. What is the term that refers to a person 100 years old or older? The answer is centenarian. Similarly, a person in their 90s is called a nonagenarian. A person in their 80s is called an octogenarian. Who was the first person in space? The answer, Yuri Gagarin. The Russian cosmonaut became the first human to journey into outer space when he completed one orbit of Earth on April 12, 1961. What is the machine process that replaces kidney action? The answer is dialysis. A kidney dialysis machine can remove excess water and toxins from the blood in people whose kidneys can no longer perform these functions naturally.